Well, it's getting to that time of the year now where you feel the heat in the greenhouse. In fact, we actually were sitting out having a coffee just an hour or so ago, and amazing actually how you can feel the difference in the air mass as we progress towards the first month of meteorological spring. But thanks for clicking on to the 30th edition of the Global Weather and Climate Report. This was a capture taken by myself earlier on this morning, and just a fantastic weather, and it really gives you that kind of boost, that kind of feeling that spring is in the air. Despite the fact that the temperatures, by the way, this morning were pretty darn chilly. We had lows across many parts of the UK, fairly brisk, but again, nothing particularly cold for the time of the year, but certainly a bit of a difference across the northern half of the British Isles. The temperature here at the house was a degree and a half below the freezing mark. Nothing particularly significant, but look at that there, minus 7.7 recorded at Altnahara this morning. So quite a chilly morning across the northwest Highlands, that's for sure. We had close to minus 6 at Loch Liscarnock, and then just above the freezing mark in Glasgow, and hovering a degree or so either side of the freezing mark further south this morning as well. But as per usual, trying to make it a little bit of a tradition, looking at the week just gone around the planet, the extremes that have taken place. We certainly have some very interesting things going on in California at the moment, where we've had unusually cold air and a storm system that has brought significant amounts of snow to the hills surrounding the greater LA area, and probably some record-breaking snowfall, record-breaking cold temperatures, both for daytime and, of course, nighttime. And we will continue to see that taking place here. So if we look at some of the tweets from LA Weather, or the National Weather Service of Los Angeles anyway, you can see here what it's saying with regards to some of the snow. So Fraser Park, which is in LA County, not a huge distance from the downtown LA, and look at the remarkable amounts of snow on the ground here. Folks actually stuck on the mountain. I-5 is closed, and certainly some remarkable scenes coming out of the mountains of LA County. So you don't often get blizzard warnings and flood warnings for the LA County area. This, of course, is a typically mild part of the world, typically dry, and of course very hot when it comes to summer temperatures. You can get summer-like warmth at any time of the year. So this is a fairly significant blast of Arctic air deep into both LA and San Diego counties, Santa Clarita, Palmdale. So this is the Mojave Desert here. Been through it myself. I have actually encountered snow over the high ground on a Greyhound bus traveling between LA and Las Vegas on my way up to Salt Lake City. That's going back to 2004. Hard to believe that's actually 19 years ago when I was 21 and young. Quite different now, of course. I don't look as young, certainly as I did back when I was 21 years old. Had more hair on top, less hair on the face actually back then. But memories there. But certainly some remarkable scenes across southwestern portions of the United States. We'll look at some other tweets in just a second. But certainly over the last 7 days, this is the 2-meter temperature anomalies. This is off weatherbell.com. This is the CDAS data. Very mild compared to normal across the bulk of Europe, including the UK and Ireland here, which is kind of tilted because we're looking at a hemispheric view. Big contrast over the lower 48. Summer-like warmth across the southeast. Winter, well and truly over Montana, the Dakotas, into the central portion of the United States. And then we had this big fight zone over the south central portion of the country here. But we do have the upcoming 7 days like this here. This is the 2-meter temperatures of the CFSV2. We're going to remain colder than normal across the southwest, across the western half of the United States overall, remaining warmer than normal underneath that La Nina boosted southeastern ridge of high pressure across the southeast. We've had temperatures near 90 degrees in the southeast, which is outstandingly warm for the time of the year. And even week 2, so this is the 5th to the 12th of March, below average conditions in the west, warmer than average across the south and the southeastern half of the country. And indeed, looking at Europe here, this is of the GFS ensemble. Upcoming 5 days here, we've got the strong area of high pressure over the north of the UK. We're going to see that pressure building. It's actually currently 1033 millibars here at the house this afternoon under crystal clear skies. We're going to see temperatures dropping quite significantly, I think, as the sun goes down later on this evening. But it's getting later now with that sun dropping below the horizon, of course, but still nights can get very cold. And I'm still of the belief anyway that we're going to see colder conditions for the month of March. But this is the upcoming 5 days off the model. So this is the 500 millibar height anomaly chart. We've got, of course, a trough over the western portion of the Mediterranean. We've got a strong ridge over the North Atlantic, northeastern portion of the Atlantic between the UK and Iceland. So that's a negative NAO signal. The 6 to 10 day period, you can see here that that area of high pressure is starting to drift further towards Iceland here. We've got more negative over the eastern half of the continent. Day 11 through 15, and you can continue to see the extension of that trough over Europe here. And I believe anyway that we are going to turn colder. Go back to the upcoming 5 day period and we'll look at the 2 meter temperature anomalies here, and you can see what it is indicating here. So upcoming 5 day period, average temperatures to slightly below average, as you can see here across many parts of the UK with the exceptions of northern Britain. We've got very cool compared to normal under that trough for France and Iberia, as you can see here. The 6 to 10 day, you can see here that it's modestly average and slightly below average across the UK, still below average across the southwest of Europe here, day 11 through 15. You can see here the cold growing across particularly the northern half of Europe here, the recovery across the southwest. So, stratospheric polar vortex, of course, we do have the continuation of this wind reversal through the column and into more lower portions of the atmosphere. So we're still awaiting that response from that major SSW that occurred the middle portion of last week. I'm still confident that we are going to get the response to that, and we could have long-lived effects. This kind of false spring, I think, is in the air. That is my opinion anyway. I could be wrong, and if I am wrong, I will, of course, hold my hand up to an incorrect forecast. But I still believe that we have got winter coming before we really finally pull out of this. I think it could be a delayed spring this year based on what's going on, because we've got another major sudden stratospheric warming actually about to occur. So we've got that double wind reversal. Unusual to see, but I think the effects of that could be long-lived. This persistency in the area of high pressure, this anticyclonic situation that we've got at the moment is pretty remarkable, actually. You know, rainfall has been scant across particularly southern portions of the British Isles during the month of February. There's some stations, I believe, that has not seen a single drop of rain this month so far, and that is likely to break records, I believe. And you know, this area of high pressure is going to maintain itself right the way through week 1 of March. So pretty amazing stuff, actually, when you really think about that. But you can see here the forecast indicating that we're going to continue to see the response of that strat warming from 10 millibars all the way down into the lower portion of the atmosphere in the next week to 10 days or so, and watch this space. Where that high goes, this current area of high pressure, where that goes in the next couple of weeks is going to be crucial. If it doesn't budge, we may not see any true cold. But if it does get far enough west and northwest of the British Isles, I think that trough over Eastern Europe will grow, expand, and we'll get into that cold pattern. And, you know, I'm hesitating in saying any kind of beast from the east. We need to see more evidence that that is going to come. in order for that to materialize. But let's have a look at some of the details here over the last few days. The extremes over North America, pretty remarkable actually. We've seen significant record breaking snow. Portland, Oregon, 10.8 inches measured yesterday, now goes down as the snowiest day in February, and second all-time snowiest day for Portland since the 1940s. So that just shows you how unusual this cold spell actually is in parts of the western half of the United States. Some of the mountains actually at Santa Cruz, right near the Pacific Ocean, very, very rarely do you see snow, but we've actually seen images of snow on these mountains right up against the Pacific coast over the last few days here. Northern California experienced its best snow event since February '89. At less than 300 meters above sea level, snow is settling in Eureka and Crescent City. So big. This is a big story actually. And during the night, snow starting to fall at the Eureka National Weather Service office, less than 40 feet above sea level here, with a temperature of 32 Fahrenheit or 0 Celsius. This is a tweet here by Terry Goose at 10 p.m. This was back a few days ago. All weather stations, official weather stations, recording temperatures of 0 Celsius in Canada. So every official weather station in Canada was reporting a 0 Celsius, which is a pretty rare occurrence actually, and pretty amazing when you think about that as well. Big contrasts across the lower 48. Extreme pattern across the United States today. This was going back, like I say, a couple of days ago. 101 degrees Fahrenheit at Falcon Lake in Texas, only 2 Fahrenheit below the US February record, and we had a temperature of minus 31 Fahrenheit in Minnesota. That is. Temperatures as warm as 91 degrees in Florida, 87 North Carolina, 85 in Alabama, 84 in both Mississippi and Tennessee. Atlanta, Georgia, recording a temperature of 81 Fahrenheit or 27 Celsius. Back a few years ago, this is going back a good few years ago actually, I was in Savannah, Georgia, and the temperatures were in the low 80s. In fact, I think Charleston, South Carolina, when I visited there, the temperature was in the kind of low 80s. So 26, 27 Celsius in the month of January. That was back that year. I can't actually remember off the top of my head what year that was, whether it was 2013. But when we actually drove from South Georgia all the way up to New Jersey, by the time we reached New Jersey, actually the temperature was around the freezing mark and snow was in the air. So going from that contrast, about 3 p.m. in the afternoon in South Carolina, temperatures into the 80s. By the time we arrived back at home in New Jersey, the early hours of the following morning, and the temperature was close to freezing with snow in the air. Just an incredible contrast to experience. Interesting stuff actually. We had temperatures down as low as in Nunavik in northern Quebec. Station recorded a wind chill of minus 61. That's in Celsius actually, in northern portions of Quebec. So very interesting stuff. I'm going to talk about the potential of a developing El Nino in the springtime, probably in the next global weather and climate report. I think that's about it for now, unfortunately, folks. But certainly a lot of extremes, particularly so in the United States in recent times here. So that has been the big story. Very mild conditions across parts of Asia also. And of course, across Europe, we're seeing incredibly mild conditions also here. Looking at the month of February from an equatorial view of Weatherbell, and you can see here the big contrast this month. It's still very chilly compared to normal across Africa. As you can see, Northern Australia cold compared to the south. Look at the amount of warmth across much of Eurasia. And we've got a little bit of colder than normal across the eastern portion of Siberia, as you can see here. Big contrast between the southeastern United States and northwestern North America. Warmer than normal across Greenland. And we'll watch this space. Let's see what happens with both the Manchurian Oscillation and indeed the sudden stratospheric warming response. That's it for today. I do appreciate you watching. As always, please subscribe if you haven't already done so, and I'll see you again hopefully tomorrow with more. Bye for now.